Hello, friends, and welcome back to
What?
Podcast. I'm Abriana.
I'm Jason.
I'm Danny.
I'm Alston.
And I'm Becca.
So, on what podcast we pride ourselves on relatability, and what's more relatable than medical conditions? So, this week we're going to be talking about medical conditions, medical emergencies, and anything else of that nature.
But okay, look at this camera right now and tell me why Babe. See, this is why I don't like when you sit like that, because it looks like I'm just sitting alone and you're just like... It's for the see, look at the difference.
Danny looks so short.
I know,
I'm
that's why.
slouching.
My husband is not short. He's like almost 6 feet tall. So I have a couple medical emergencies, but some of the lighter ones, I've never broken a bone. Like my entire childhood, I never broke a bone. I sprained my middle finger dribbling a basketball one time, but that was it. And then at 27 years old, while I was cleaning my house for my brother and his wife's bachelorette party, I slipped on a cricket mat, like the cricket machines, and I broke my wrist. And thank goodness it was just like a tiny bone in my wrist, but I went 27 years without breaking a bone, and then I broke a bone on one of the most important weeks I've had in a while.
Yeah, our bachelorette party was just the weekend before our wedding.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to get a full cast. I had a splint, thankfully, but I had to wear it for the entire bachelorette party and the entire wedding.
And no golf.
No golf for the last 2-3 weeks of the season, and our golf season is extremely short up here. That was really sad.
I broke a bone. I was right at...
Everyone's gotta have a
I'm
giggle
sorry,
attack.
the way he said it, he's like, I broke a bone.
I don't know why I said it like that.
Sorry, it was just really cute.
So I broke my arm, but I was 3, so I remember it, but I don't at the same time, you know? And so we were at my grandma's at the time, and my cousin Sierra, she was walking on the side of those old basement doors that open inwards, and it's on the outside of your house.
Almost like a cellar door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was no stairs, and my 3-year-old brain was like, oh, she's walking on this, I can walk on this. So I started walking on it, and I didn't realize that we can't go in the middle because it'll cave in. Nobody decided to tell me that. So it just caved in, and I just fell 10 feet onto just cement. And surprisingly, all that happened was I broke my arm. And I was all I remember, because I was so young, is just laying there, and my other cousin was like, are you okay? And I was just giggling because I was so in shock. And of course it was also the first time my dad was watching all the kids. My mom was out of town on some stupid church and my dad was responsible and had to just make the awkward phone call hey, yeah, so he broke his arm.
My elbow story. It wasn't anything too crazy.
That's it.
That's about it.
I have an elbow.
No, I was
And it
probably,
broke.
I was 13. Yeah, we were 13, and a good buddy of mine came up to the house on a 3-wheeler, picked me up. And my mom, I remember when I was leaving that morning, it was early. It was 8 o'clock in the morning. We were summer vacation, so obviously we were up early and gone. So he came up to the house on this 3-wheeler. It had to be 7:30 or 8, sunrise. And my mom was like, you're not going on that 3-wheeler. You're not going on that 3-wheeler. And I went on that 3-wheeler. And next thing you know, we made it 2 miles, and we were ripping on some back streets, and somehow, I was the passenger, somehow he managed to hit a parked car. I don't know how that happened. I really don't. And I got ejected off the back, and I landed on the road, and it shattered my whole elbow. I did three reconstructive surgeries on it. And it's still got pins and needles in it, or whatever you want to say. But
Still?
Yeah. They took the wires out.
That was 20 years ago.
There's a bunch of screws in there, yeah. A plate with screws.
As they holding it together.
Yeah.
Like a robot.
And it was whatever. It was just a broken bone. It was and I remember that whole summer. I didn't just have a cast. I had the whole arm cast going, you know.
Wow.
And I had to get 3 of those. 3 different ones. Oh, it was 12, like a whole 12-month thing. Cause that's how bad it was. That whole elbow was shattered. It was like nasty.
If only you would have listened to your mom.
No, and my mom held that. She's like, I had that, the motherly instinct, dude. I had that. I knew. I was
I
like,
told you
Mom,
so.
I was fine. I was like, there's no freaking way that's how you were. No, I should have never let you go. I was like, stop it.
Mother knows best, my
And then
dear.
I come wheeling up in the police. Yeah, the police, the officer. I remember I woke up in a cop car at the scene of the little crash there. I like woke up on the highway. The lady's about her car being all dented up, and I'm like, just passed right back out because I was like, I ain't got time for this. She's and passed right out, and then I woke up in the back of a cop car, and he was driving me. So I don't know how I managed to. I must have told him where I lived, and my mom came running out of that freaking house just bawling. She thought I was dead. The cops pulled up, She's like, he died. That was her initial thought.
I mean, fair.
She came out bawling, and I got out of the car, and I was like, Mom, I'm sorry. And she just, get out. I thought I was in trouble then.
Yeah.
So, no, and then it was just a big, silly thing, and next thing you know, I had to go to the hospital and just do all that bullshit. It was fun, though. 13, living life.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Someone help! So about 5 years ago, I ended up getting gout in my foot, and it was the most painful thing in my whole life. It's like when, uric acid crystallizes up in your foot, and it's so painful. It felt like it was like shattered glass and barbed wire in my foot. I couldn't walk on it. Like, just having fabric going across it just felt so uncomfortable. It was horrible, and I had that for like 2 or 3 months.
Oh my god.
And I was supposed to stand in a wedding during that time, but the thing is, that day, it felt fine. So I could stand in the wedding, and then the next day, it went back to again. And then I finally got medication for it, like 2-3 months later, and it was the worst feeling of my life. Don't ever get gout. I also got it in my elbow, which I guess is kind of rare, but yeah, that sucked too. It wasn't as bad as the foot. It only lasted a week because the doctor told me to do like tart cherry juice shots, so I do that like a few times every week. So take your tart cherry juice shots, everyone. Don't get gout. You'll cry. It hurts. It's because I was on a kick of drinking too much Borealis beer.
Oh.
Yes, but I have medication so I don't get gout, so I could drink my Borealis now.
Weird. Wow.
Borealis brew beer. Yummy.
Don't forget to drink water.
Yes, water too and tart cherry juice saves you.
Did you just like wake up one day and your foot was just like on fire and you
Yep.
couldn't walk?
Yeah.
I feel like I remember you had a crutch in Dollar
I was on
General.
crutches
Yeah.
too. Like, and I had to ride on those stupid little granny things in Walmart.
That is
And
so
like, you
sweet.
think like, oh, it'll be so nice to ride on one of those. They go like,
So
they're just,
slow.
you're sitting in there and you're like,
You think they go slow until you see her dad on one.
Oh my gosh, the ones at Menards in
Oh, man.
those ones. He literally, I was walking and he's like, oh, they're over here. He's like, okay.
I wish I had one of those.
I had to like fast walk to keep up with him because he literally was like, whoop, 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 like going down the aisle.
The ones at Walmart are like little granny ones.
So ever since I was a kid, I've had skin issues, like super dry. So when I was a baby, the doctors thought it was, well, my parents thought it was just diaper rash because I had it on my butt. And they brought me to the doctors, and then they diagnosed it as eczema. So I was treated that like as eczema my childhood until about, I think it was like in high school that I finally went to a dermatologist, and it is psoriasis. So if anybody has it, it is not fun. I don't have super huge patches like some people. I mainly have it on my hands, and then it really affects my scalp. It's starting to get on my face and stuff. I have a new patches on my eyelids, which is very uncomfortable. That is something new. Mine shifts throughout my body where it acts up. again, the main constant's always my hands. I don't remember, or I don't know if you remember when we were in high school, my hands were really
No,
bad.
I was gonna say, I remember in
Yeah.
school, like, you had really, really bad hands.
Yeah, I would wake up and I would just go to stretch my hands open and they would just crack open and they would just bleed and like washing my hands hurt so bad. Like everything hurt. And I was in band, I did a lot of different stuff. I mean, imagine your hands just being in pain all the time. You do so much with your hands.
For my own personal knowledge, what's the difference between eczema and psoriasis? Because Anna has eczema from what we know.
So I can't remember which way is which. One you have to keep like wet, like moist, and the other you have to keep drier. Which I think psoriasis has to be kept drier and eczema has to be kept more moist. Because when they thought I had eczema, they used to tell me to put... Okay, I don't know if y'all have ever had udder cream before. My doctor told me to do udder cream, and I would have to wear these white cloth gloves because they wanted to lock in the moisture and like keep it, but it just never worked because I was treating it wrong. So I believe I should know because I know it's a disease that I have. But all I do now, I used to be on a ton of different steroid creams and all this other stuff. The steroid withdrawal is terrible. My skin was on fire for months. I think I told y'all about this like last week or the week before. Not on the podcast, but in person. And now I just use pretty much Aquaphor and I use Scalpicin for my scalp.
Is that the stuff that she just gave you?
Then she gave me some stuff that has silic acid in it and it's a shampoo, conditioner, and a cream. And all three of those are working very well. But again, that's all just silic acid. So silic acid and hydrochloronic, I think. I can't remember what's in Scalpicin. It's really nice.
But it's drops. It's not like a wash or anything.
Yeah, it's just for like when I'm done showering, I put it on my scalp to soak in.
Yeah. That's a good thing.
See, I feel like Anna's is definitely eczema because the moisture helps her. Like, giving her frequent baths, her skin looks better.
Yeah.
In the summer, her skin looks better when it's not so dry out.
Yeah.
So, like, the suggestions we've gotten from her doctor have always improved her eczema, except we don't want to keep her on the steroid cream anymore. But the Aquaphor works really well for her, too.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a really good healing ointment. I think that's one thing, no matter whether it's eczema or psoriasis, it's itchy.
Babe!
Y'all!
What? That's you!
Show the camera what you just had in your nose.
You could have shot that at City.
Snot rocket though.
Yeah!
Where did it?
I hit the microphone.
One time when we were in the car, Addie was in the back seat. We were on our way somewhere. We were on a trip, maybe to one of her appointments or something.
Yeah.
And she's in the back seat and she starts crying. And I'm like, what's going on? And she goes, I have a bead stuck up my nose.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, why do you have a bead in your nose? She goes, I don't know, I put it there. Why'd you put it there? I like pinched up here and pinched down.
And it came out.
You didn't have to try to suck it out.
No, it was literally
Oh.
like, it was barely in there. She just couldn't she didn't have any nails because we keep their nails cut.
Yeah.
So she couldn't like claw it out. So I just like pinched it out, thank God. But
I used to just have dry hands. That was it. In the winter time, I would when I played basketball. Same thing. I remember I had to get taken out of the game sometimes because I'd be blood on the basketball. From my
Ew.
fingers cracking all the time.
I grew up with eczema, just like my 5-year-old now has. But mine was never as severe. It was just on my legs. My 5-year-old's covers her entire body. So while I don't know exactly how psoriasis is, I definitely know the pain of constant itchiness. And nothing can really, like, soothe it, it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
On another medical note, has anyone ever had a UTI while pregnant? I feel like that's a common thing. A lot of people get UTIs while pregnant.
I had it all the time.
While pregnant?
Yes.
Oh, damn.
I've never been pregnant, but I've had a UTI before. And when I was younger, I had yeast infections on and off. And those were not fun either.
I used to get bladder infections all the time. But that was my own doing. Like, I didn't want to stop playing to go to the bathroom, so I'd give myself bladder infections. But I got a UTI when I was pregnant with my last baby, and it was so bad that, like, I had gone into the emergency room after a couple days of a fever. They diagnosed me, gave me antibiotics, sent me home, called me the next morning, and said I needed to come back to the hospital immediately.
Yeah.
because they found E. coli in my urine and I had an antibiotic resistant UTI. So I ended up in the hospital for a night getting IV fluid or IV antibiotics, and then they wanted to keep me for 5 days. And I had 3 other kids at home at this point. My husband had a job. Like, I was like, I can't. And not only can I not, I don't want to be here for 5 days just so you can give me 1 round of antibiotics every morning. So I ended up just like going into the hospital every day to get the antibiotics. But yeah, I had to be on 5 days of IV antibiotics to get it to go away, and it was probably the most miserable sickness I've had in a really, really long time because I was so weak and so sick, and I had such a high fever that I was freezing cold. No medicine was helping, but I also didn't have common UTI symptoms. Like, I had no UTI symptoms, so when I went in, they're like, oh, do you feel like, are you going to the bathroom frequently? Are you having a hard time peeing? Does it hurt? And I'm like, none of those things. I didn't even think UTI at all. So when they told me that, I was like, oh, all right, like, quick, easy fix. No, because I had had a doctor's appointment, like, a week prior and gotten antibiotics, and then I went to the ER because they weren't making me feel any better. And, yeah, then I ended up in the hospital, so.
Let me see the hips swing!
Okay, I think you're safe. She's calming.
We're safe! The snowmobilers.
They're still right.
Fuck up! Jesus!
Oh, no. So when I was a freshman, this random day was after like all the urgent care and whatever, like doctors' places closed, so we couldn't book an appointment or like go in anywhere. And I was having like the worst stomach pains and like chest pains. Just like, it didn't feel like a stomach bug or anything, and I was just like literally like crying all balled up on the couch, and my mom was just like, you're fine, and I literally was there for like 2 hours just crying, and my mom was like, okay, fine, and she finally, like, we drove all the way, because she thought this one urgent care closed at 6, and it closed at 5, we drove all the way like 15 minutes away, just to drive back, and instead of going to the closer hospital to where we drove, she decided to come all the way back to the one by the house. So I was in the car for like half an hour, and then we finally got to the hospital that was originally only 2 minutes away from our house. And I went in, and like they did all these tests, and there was nothing that came back, and they pretty much just thought I had a stomach bug, even though it wasn't just my stomach. It was like everything in my abdomen, my chest was just like on fire. And so they were just like, we're going to give you a general antibiotic, and gave me some, like, Tylenol or some Then I went home, and I eventually fell asleep, and my mom gets a call the next day saying I have strep group G, which is a flesh-eating bacteria.
Ew.
And it was literally like, what I was feeling was the bacteria starting to deteriorate my organs.
Ew.
Oh my god.
So like if I didn't go
Wow.
in, like it would have just kept happening, and
You would have died.
I could have went like into organ failure, organ shutdown. But you know, it's just a stomach ache.
Yeah.
I literally was like on the couch, like curled up in a ball begging my mom to take me to the doctors, and she was like, no, you just have a stomach bug. This is not anything I've ever felt before, Mom.
I can't even. Whew.
And apparently you get it from farm animals, which we didn't like have any farm animals at the time. My dad has chickens now, but I'm thinking I got it from someone at school, because there's a lot of families that had farms.
Like real farms too, not just like hobby farms.
Right. Like
Yeah.
cows, horses, goats, chicken.
That does remind me though of like when I had my gallbladder attack. I went shopping with my mom in the morning, and then I was like, I do not feel good. She bought me a smoothie, like a vitamin C smoothie, and she's like, here, these always make me feel better. And I tried to drink it. We went to Applebee's for lunch because we had to go out with her friends. And the whole lunch, I went in the bathroom and just puked up the smoothie she bought me. And then I went and sat in the car crying, and then they got my food to go. That's helpful. So then I drove them home, and I cried until like 9 p.m. And then I called her. I was like, Mom, I can't drink water. I can't do anything. I couldn't even, it's kind of how you felt with the gout. I couldn't even have, like, the cloth from my shirts touching my stomach, because just that pressure hurt so bad. And yeah, we went up to the ER, and it was a gallbladder attack. My gallbladder was fully blocked, so it was just freaking out and making me just super sick. When you have a gallbladder attack, it can, to some people, feel like a heart attack. To me, it was just, like, so much side pain, and it was going up my back and then, like, down to my legs. And it was just terrible. I couldn't eat anything, couldn't drink anything, could barely, like, get up. And then I kept vomiting, and it was so annoying in the ER, because I'm holding the bag, puking, and just dry heaving, and I kept, like, I'd stop and then just instantly keep doing it, and the doctor was asking me questions, and my mom tried to answer, and the doctor's like, no, she has to answer, because she's over 18. And I literally am like, like, and I'm like, he's, how long has this been going on for? I'm like, oh, like, it was so annoying, but I ended up, the more annoying thing is, I was supposed to have surgery. I went to the surgeon, and because the ER doctor told me to go to my regular doctor and get cleared to have surgery because I need my gallbladder out. So I go to my regular doctor, get cleared, go to the surgeon, and the surgeon's like, no, you're too young, and I don't want to, it's still working, so I want you to go on this diet because you're also too overweight. Being overweight in the medical field is so exhausting because all they do is blame it. And, like, don't get me wrong, I understand that it can cause health issues, but I don't have diabetes. I have low blood pressure. I have anemia. Like, I'm actually the opposite spectrum of everything. So it's so frustrating when they're like, well, you're just, like, really overweight. So she wanted me to go on this diet, take these pills, and dissolve all the gallstones that I had. And it's so crazy because I've had friends get their gallbladder taken out when, like, 16, 18 years old. And I was 24, 25 at the time, and she's like, you're too young.
That's not that young.
AKA, she wasn't confident in working on a bigger person.
That's how I felt. So then I ended up trying to do it, took the pills, never did anything, and like a year later I got it taken out. I literally struggled a whole year. I never said anything to my job in Chicago at the time, really, because I couldn't eat. Like, I'd wake up, go to work, and if I ate anything like at work, I would have to go home because I'd just be puking. Because it instantly put me in just, like, right into that, like, super pain again. Yeah. So I would not eat pretty much all day, eat when I get home, and try to go to sleep right away so I wouldn't get sick.
That's crazy.
Are there certain things you can't eat anymore?
Well, now that I've had it out, I was 26, I think, when I got it taken out. I'm 33 now. So now it's pretty much evened out. Every once in a while, that's the day that I had food poisoning, I didn't know if it was the grease.
When we were here?
Yeah, because a lot of greasy foods make me really sick still, where I'm, like, either puking or going to the bathroom, like, constantly. But that was more of when I first got it taken out. Now I'm pretty much okay with everything. When you have gallbladder issues, I was pretty much living off of rice and chicken, because you can't have onions, you can't have bell peppers, you can't have anything spicy, you can't have anything oily. You're not supposed to have peanuts or almonds, because you're not anything, like, super oily. So, like, no avocado, which I'm also allergic to that, so that was fine. But you're not supposed to eat a lot of ground beef, so you're supposed to eat, like, chicken or fish. I don't eat fish. I don't like shellfish. So it's very limited. And then when you get it taken out, you're supposed to follow a very bland diet. So, and it was very bland for a year. Anything, if I'd go outside of it, it would really mess me up.
For a whole year, too?
Until it was more, like, bland, then I'd slowly, like, start eating stuff. But I would know pretty much, like, if I was going out to eat with somebody, I'd have to make the choice of, like, am I going home after this? Like, what are we doing after this? Or am I going to eat this and in 10 minutes be like, I'll be right back, and, like, go disappear for, like, 15 minutes. Not fun. But it's better now.
Was it like that for alcohol, too?
Not really, but I do know alcohol can affect it, but I'm not a huge drinker, so it never fully affected, like, me in that way, I guess. I was never, like, drinking so much that it affected me.
Just thinking about alcohol.
Right? You're like, so what happens if you drink?
If it happens to me, can I drink still?
Yeah. You could.
I know that this isn't the same thing, but one time I was put on this one antidepressant that made me so sick, like, half an hour after I take it, and they would not let me stop taking it. And I would literally puke it up every day. And I would just, like, have to
doesn't
be
make sense.
conscious of whatever I was doing after, because I'm like, I know I'm gonna need a bathroom in, like, 30 minutes,
That's
an
crazy.
hour.
Right, instant, right.
That's crazy. Why would they give you that?
It was so gross. Like, all of a sudden, my mouth would start over salivating. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, gotta go find a bathroom.
That's how I felt about like prenatal pills.
Oh.
Them big
As
hard
soon as I
pills.
took them, they made me puke. So like after I had my first, I always did the gummies. I have had one near-death experience in my life, and honestly, it wasn't that exciting. But when I was 14, a freshman in high school, I was feeling really like yucky. It was Christmas break and I just was not feeling good. I wasn't eating a whole lot. I was exhausted. And prior to this, like I had had stints of like dizziness. I had almost passed out in a parade for band. I had almost passed out every time we got in formation for ROTC. And I couldn't do like a lot of exercise. So after Christmas break, I ended up missing 3 days of school because I still just was not feeling good. And my stepdad thought I was milking it, but my mom was like, we got to get you to the doctor. Something's going on. So I went to the doctor. They checked my iron, whatever. And they never, no, I had gotten my iron checked before, but they never called me with the results. So I had no idea what my results were. So when I went to the doctor this day, they checked my iron. They did a blood pressure sitting, laying down, and standing up. And my iron was so low that they sent me immediately to the hospital. And there, no, wait. At the clinic, they didn't do a blood test. They just got the results from my previous blood test that I never got the results for. And then they did the blood pressure test. And then they said that based on my iron from the previous results, I needed to go to the hospital and get my hemoglobin checked and my iron rechecked. And when I got to the hospital, my hemoglobin, it's supposed to be in between 12 and 14. And hemoglobin is what carries oxygen to your vital organs. My hemoglobin was at 4.8, which is, I mean, I should have been in a coma.
Yeah.
Like the doctors, even now when I tell my doctors or when I tell the nurses, like, that I see that was my hemoglobin at one point, they're shocked that I'm alive right now because I should have been in a coma. My heart and kidneys should have been shutting down. And that's what the doctors told me too. They're like, you're lucky that you're still standing. If you would have gone to school today, you probably would have passed out and gone into a coma. So I ended up having to get blood transfusions, and I was on iron for the rest of my teen years. And it was because like my cycle was really, really heavy, and it would last like 2 weeks, and I wouldn't be able to replenish the blood from one cycle to the next. So my hemoglobin was dropping slowly every single month, which is why I was able to be up and walking around with a 4.8 hemoglobin, because my body had adjusted. It just couldn't adjust anymore, and it was failing on me. So yeah. And on the note of blood disorders, that's not really a blood disorder, anemia, kind of, I don't know. They never really like did a whole lot of research into what it's caused from. It's not my thyroid. I know that a lot of people say that is a correlation with anemia, but it's not my thyroid levels. Those have always been decent. But aside from that, like when I had my kids, I always had to get like iron infusions, which I love iron infusions. They give you a lot of energy when your iron's low. But I also found out when I was pregnant with my first daughter that I have Rh negative blood, which is also super strange. It essentially means so for pregnancies, I guess it means that if my child that's in my body has a positive blood type, my body sees it as a foreign cell and will try to attack it. Yeah. So I have to get these Rogam? I think it's Rogam.
Yeah.
Shots. Every time I'm pregnant. I have to get them once while I'm pregnant, and then if the baby comes out with a positive blood type, I have to get it again. And I have now had to get 8 shots because every one of my kids has a positive blood type.
That's wild.
But it's crazy because Rh negative, people with Rh negative blood they're warmer. Like, that's why I'm always overheating.
Most random, but I was at work the other day and Beth, she's older. She was telling me though that when you used to get back in the day when you get married before you could get married, you both would have to get a blood test.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like, in my head, I was like, is that like incestual? Like they're making sure you're not related? But she thought maybe it was to make sure, because I don't know if they had like the shots like that you can get now back in the day, so maybe they were making sure that the blood types would be compatible so that you could have kids.
Yeah.
But my brain went right to incest. I'm not gonna lie.
mean,
Because
up
I just,
here.
well, not even just anywhere, because if you think about like back in the day, like a lot of like rich families, you keep it in the family, like literally.
When I was pregnant with my first daughter, that's when I found out that I had Rh negative blood, and he is positive. So, like, in pregnancy, if you're negative, your partner's positive, you have to get the shot for, like, prevention purposes, because it will attack your baby. Like, it can kill your baby in your womb, or it will attack the next pregnancy you have. But then, yeah, once your baby's out, your baby gets the blood test, and if they're positive, you have to get the second shot. If they're negative, you don't have to get the second shot. But yeah, I ended up having to get it all 4 times.
That's crazy.
Jeez.
Is it a big shot?
It's the biggest needle I've ever seen.
Oh,
No, it's not. It's not bigger than the epidural needle. The first one, I've gotten a couple in my arms, a couple in my thigh, and a couple in my butt.
Love a good shot
Just
in the
all
butt.
over you.
Yeah. See, the thing is, my doctor let me choose, except for some reason with Ansley, I had to get it in my butt. She said I had to. But with the other ones, I always got it in my arm.
Is it like a thing, like, in the butt it goes faster, like...
It hurts less.
But see, so after my gallbladder surgery, fun fact, I'm allergic to latex, and I was wearing an allergy band, and they put butterfly stitches on my things, which have latex in them, so I ended up having an infection. And when I went to the ER a week after my surgery, because like what happened, they were gooping off, like green, like pus, and they gave me a penicillin shot in my butt, and they were like, and I was like, why? Because I was like, that I didn't want them. I didn't feel good. I don't want to bend over for, you know what I mean? And she said it's because it's the quickest.
Yeah.
But it might just be because, like you said, it might be...
My doctor told me because it's fattier. That's same thing with, like, Addie and her diabetes. It's fattier. Like, you find the fattier spots.
That's, like, my legs. I got chonky legs, thick thighs. So that's where I always do my shots. I've tried to do them in my stomach before, and it's very painful.
You know what, though? Now that I'm thinking about it, too, it might be faster, too, because the fattier the spot is on Addie, the better her insulin works.
Oh.
Like, we can't do it on her stomach because she's got no fat on her stomach, and
Yeah.
the insulin just doesn't work very well.
Yeah.
Huh.
But what if you don't have an like me?
Then do it in your
I
thigh.
have no fat. I have no at all.
Me and you're like
It's all
twins,
bony.
We're both just...
Long back.
Yeah.
Do it in your thigh.
So there's one other thing that happened to me, I think 10th grade, when I was like 15 or 16. So I was late for the bus. So it was like a few houses down, and just at some, like, in front of some random guy's house that also had kids that went to school. And I was running because he would just drive away. It didn't matter if he saw you running. If you weren't there, he would drive away. And all of a sudden, like, it was just like I blacked out for a second, and I woke up, and I was just like on the ground, like in a puddle, and my brother was with me, and he like handed me my phone, which was shattered. He handed me my glasses, which were like broken in half, and I was like, what the is happening? I get on the bus driver's like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine, I feel fine. And like I went and sat down, and then I realized like my head felt wet, and I like touched like my head, and my hand was just like bloody as
Why would the bus driver let you get on the bus?
That's what I thought.
Let's go, you're good.
Like, come on, kids, let's go to school.
Like, go back home,
Yeah.
tell your mom something happened.
So we were one of the first stops on the bus, so I just like waited for these other kids to get picked up, and it was slowly starting to hurt more and more, and I keep feeling my head, and it's not stopping bleeding great, and so I was just like, okay, whatever, and I'm just like holding pressure with like probably my hoodie sleeve or something, and we get to school, and I go in the bathroom, and I look, and there's already like, it's probably like the size of like a ping pong ball sticking off my head.
Just a big egg.
Yeah, that was like half an hour later.
Oh my gosh.
And it started to like hurt when I was moving my head like down at all. I'm just like, okay, I'm fine. I texted my mom. I was like, I ran into something, I think. and my head is bleeding, and there's a lump, but I feel okay. And, like, if that doesn't tell you how much I hated my home life. So I went to my next couple classes, and all my teachers were, like, shocked. Because I just have this giant lump, and I, like, keep trying to hide it. It's so embarrassing, and, like, I had just started dating my, like, girlfriend at the time, too, and I'm like, I don't want her to see me with this giant lump on my head.
Is that the one who threw a tuba at you?
It sure was.
Oh.
I was in a choir, and then I had band after, and then band is when it really started to hit me. And I was, like, all the vibration from all the instruments was just, like, making my head just pound. Like, it was already throbbing. But, like, I don't know if you've ever had, like, a concussion or something, but it's so, like, this giant lump. Just, anytime I moved my head like this, it just felt, like, so heavy and pain. I don't know. Terrible. It hurt.
It hurt.
And so I finally was like, okay, Mom. Like, I texted my mom, and I was like, I think I need to go, like, to the doctors. And she comes and picks me up, and as I'm walking to the car, she starts seeing, like, the lump on my head. She's like, if I would have known you were that bad, I would have picked you up right at 8 a.m. What are you telling me? We went to the doctors, had a concussion, and they just told me to, like, skip the next couple days of school. And so, when my dad got home, we were telling him, like, I think he literally might have left early even. Maybe not. Maybe I was just at the hospital for so long. He was like, well, I'm going to go see what you, like, ran into. And so where the bus stop is, literally there's this truck parked, and the blade of a plow truck that, like, it's probably, like, 6 inches long that, like, bolts to the plow, literally just hanging out the back of his truck at a bus stop. And that's what I ran, like, full force into. And it cut, like, such a big gash. I still have a scar. And a plow blade. I had two black eyes for, like, weeks.
So you were running and just, boom.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Like, I don't remember falling. I just remember waking up in a puddle.
Okay.
Alright, Jason McGee.
Finale.
Jason Paul. Is that your middle name?
No.
It's Paulette.
If it was Jason... No, dude, if it was Jason Polisari, I would, like, punch my parents in the face.
Your dad, maybe your dad had a stutter.
Oh, no, it's
Jason
actually
Paul.
Is it Alan? What's
You'll
it
never
start
guess what it is.
What's it
Jason
start with?
Curtis.
C.
C. Curtis.
Cornelius.
I know, but I'm not going to say, because that's
Greg.
cheating.
Quagmire.
No. Quagmire.
Klepto.
I'm still a klepto! So, I'm epileptic. I developed it when I was 17. I have partial seizures, not grand mals, so I'm not on the floor, like, going, like, all crazy fish-like, but, like, I'll get a feeling of deja vu, and then it'll just, like, go black for me, and then I'll, like, come back to it, and I don't know anything that I've done. You've seen them, so you'd be able to describe how I am when I'm blacked out.
Yeah, you pretty much just seem lost. And you're like, can I have this? Can I have this? Can I do this? And then you're just like, snap right back after like a minute or two.
Yeah,
That's where your klepto side comes from.
Yeah, I'll just blame the klepto part on what I call Noah.
And next thing you know, you robbed a bank and you're on your way to Vegas.
It's just deja vu and black. And then I come back to it and I'm just like, what the hell?
Do you have headaches and stuff afterwards?
No,
you're just like,
I'm just
hello.
back to normal.
That's good, but scary.
Yeah, and I've obviously been epileptic since then, but I finally got it under control as of a little bit over a year ago with the medication and the, what do you call it?
Sobriety.
The sobriety.
Do you think that's like a hereditary?
The medication and the dosages, finally, after... I mean, I'm 21, so a few years.
But it's been a minute.
But yeah, and I wasn't supposed to drive, but I was still driving for a couple years. And on our way back to university, I actually had one while I was driving, and I was literally driving into the other lane.
Yeah. You passed me in the other lane.
I thought I was ahead of you.
No, I think you or maybe you were.
I thought I was ahead. I thought I was first.
You passed me in reverse.
All I remember is Well, maybe because I pulled up to the side of you trying to be like, and you were just literally like, like I was so, and then our other friend that we were bringing back drove your car back.
Thank God there was someone else.
Yeah.
I mean, I rarely ever had 2 in a day.
Yeah, you probably would have been okay, but why risk it when we had somebody that could drive?
Were you having them like daily?
No. They weren't daily, but like when they first started, it was probably at least like 3 a week.
Yeah.
Were you confused? Like, what's happening?
Yeah. I also, one of the craziest ones was I had one in my house that I'm living in now. I went across the street, apparently, with a shovel and a fork in my hand and went into my neighbor's house, like, just all blacked out. And they were just like, what the f***? And they, like, called the cops and everything. So I got the feeling of deja vu in my house, blacked out, and I came back to it being arrested.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's a good night.
But did you get released? Like, you explained it?
Yeah, like, they put me in the car, and I'm just like, dude, look at my medical records, like, I'm epileptic, and my mom saw, she came out, and she was just like, no, she's like, no, he's epileptic, and I'm just like, Mom, knock it off. Like, I already told him, so I'm like, yeah, go look at my medical records, and they're like, okay, but and then they brought me to the hospital, and just left me there. I'm like, I said you could look at my medical records, but you're gonna take me to the hospital and leave me there. I wasn't wearing shoes either.
And they just left you?
Yeah!
Did your mom come get you?
I think so,
Yeah.
probably.
But, like,
What a night.
I like how why did you have a shovel and a fork?
Well, you know, like,
I wonder what your mind
my blackout was a weirdo. I call him Noah. That was my possessed spirit.
That is so wild.
Yeah, he's like, let's go dig something up and eat it.
Yeah.
Is that the neighbor's house that's an Airbnb now?
Yes.
But was it at an Airbnb then?
No, it was like
When they
someone's,
lived there,
yeah.
okay.
I mean, that's better than, can you imagine just staying at a random Airbnb?
And then someone just walks in the house.
No, I'm surprised the neighbor wasn't just beat me up or something.
Yeah.
But like I came back to it. When I got home, I saw them and I went outside. I'm just like, I'm so sorry and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And she was like, I was trying to talk to you, but you were just standing there and like mumbling stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm sorry, I can't control it.
But you were probably like, can I come in here?
I'm just like literally go into someone's place holding a f***ing shovel. Like I would call the cops too.
Yeah.
And a fork.
Yeah, and my fork.
That's wild.
But I also lived with people, but I had about 4 other roommates. That was me and my boyfriend at the time, and 3 other guys. And I had one of my seizures, and I came back to it. I don't know what happened, but one of the roommates came back, and he's just like, why were you dumping garbage on my bed?
Oh my god.
So I dumped garbage on my roommate's bed, but he kind of deserved it because he's a roommate.
It's almost like sleepwalking, but not.
Pretty much. That's how I explain it to my doctors now.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many fucking times I had to explain what they were to my doctors. They're just like, so what are they? And I have to describe them a million times. I'm just like, God, just look at my records, please.
And it's probably because when you say I'm epileptic, they're like, oh, so they think you're gonna have a full seizure.
Yeah,
This-
so I'm always just like, I'm not grand malls, thank God. But thankfully, I have them under control.
You haven't had one in like 18 months?
Over a year, something like that. The last one I had, it was over a year ago.
He's having one right now.
Can I have this?
Please.
He forgot his fork at home.
Yeah.
Damn it. So you grabbed the pineapple.
Yeah, can I have your fork?
Do you have a shovel?
That's where all your forks are disappearing.
Jason!
Sorry. Noah likes forks.
To end this off, we're going to play a quick game of Never Have I Ever, hosted by Jason.
I didn't know I was being hosted.
It was your
Or hosted.
idea.
So hold up your hand,
Yours
5
actually.
fingers, and my first one will be Never Have I Ever Owned a Dog. And since all of you have, you put down a finger and take a drink.
That's cheating.
No, it's not. I've never had a dog.
Never have I ever been arrested.
I mean, does that count? Like I got...
Yeah,
Okay.
It does.
Easy. Cinema Wild.
I mean, cancel that story I said earlier.
Never have I ever done it. Quote.
Why'd you say it?
Running out of fingers. Never have I ever sucked.
Oops.
Never have I ever driven on an interstate.
That sounded so.
I refuse. Too scary.
Me too.
I lived in Lansing.
Huh, I'm done one finger.
Alright, Jason.
Never have I ever licked.
Damn.
Danny's out.
Oh, you lost?
Never have I ever gotten in a car accident with another car.
Do we count our hit?
Yes, you do!
Forget what we said on our first episode.
Never have I ever drank and drive.
Drunk drive.
I think
Drunk
I have.
drove.
I'm out.
Drove drunk.
There you go.
Never have I ever topped a guy.
What's that?
I'm out.
Never have I ever been pied.
What does that mean? Oh.
You're like, I have 4 kids.
I'm a mom of 4.
Thanks everybody for watching our podcast today.
Make sure you like and comment and hit that subscribe.
What?